Yeah, I am so excited. I can't wait. Um, Bookbinding's like my favorite. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's not actually. I like making paper more, but I definitely. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can flip my video upside down. That actually might make things better, so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe or see what from my. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I don't want to mess with it. I'll just try to make sure that. you know, I know that everyone can see what I'm doing. But yes, welcome to Bind Your Truth. This is my panel on bookbinding. I make handmade paper as I'm an artist. I make a lot of different kinds of things. Um, but I make handmade paper and books a lot right now. And actually, I'll show you guys some books that I've made, that I have with me. So I have this little teeny tiny. Oh, wait, this is the teeniest. This one I made in like 2 hours. I'm like just not even less than that, like an hour on a Discord call. I was just bored. But I like you can't really see it, but I use my own handmade paper and I use like some cardboard for the for this cover and I wrapped it in faux leather. So it's got a handmade paper. Uh this is what's called um words are failing me. And paper. This little thing right here covers up um where the fabric gets wrapped up. This is my teeniest, tiniest, littlest book, which I now need to decorate. So my goals is to I have a dolls, so I want my dolls to hold it. This is one that's slightly larger. This one, did I sew this one? I did sew this one. So this one, it's a little bit easier to tell what's going on in here. Um, I have other books that are larger, but I don't have them with me right now. But I can also show you some books that I own, some journals that I own. And you can kind of also get a better sense of what's possible. This one I actually didn't sew. This one I glued. You can also glue a lot of books. Spines will be glued into the cover. Um, this one's so small that I kind of didn't really feel like I needed to sew it. But it's folded paper and then in a cover. And then this is a book that's actually going to be more similar to what we're going to make today. This is a book I got for Christmas. Um, and I was so excited about it. Um, And because it looks exactly like what I was imagining this panel to cover, we might do um we're gonna do hard covers as well, but this is a leather cover and we won't be able to make a class today, but I can show you at least um how you make journals and books and you can decorate the covers with whatever you'd like. Um and so you can kind of see here that there's if you split the you know signature in half. So each section of the book is these little sections that are uh, hard to see. But these sections are called signatures. But this is one signature. This is two signatures, three signatures, four signatures, and five signatures. These are sewn into the back of the leather to make the spine. And so the leather wraps around the book. And these are really fun ones to make if you have leather. But I'll also go over how to make a cover if you don't have leather or don't want to make a leather cover. But you sew them down the middle, um, and then they're tied together. Um, and so this one's probably going to be this would be the easiest style if you have leather because then you don't have to do any hard work to make the cover, which is requires glue. Not hard work, but um, and then you can also get to make pretty designs when you lace it all up. Um, but first things first, before we get into covers. Um, I wanted to show you guys a little bit about how books function because I think it makes it a lot easier. I mean, I showed you visually right now, but it also just makes it a lot easier to see and kind of more document and this will also explain all the material, like all the sizes that I've laid out in the materials list. If anyone is following along, totally not required because, you know, it's a panel. You don't have to be all prepared and ready to go on my dime or my time, not my time. Um, so if you take a look um at what I'm sharing, this is a document that kind of it's from Wikipedia. But it's we're gonna be making well the my guide, my materials list is for making a quarto, which is a kind of one of the sizes of books. There's a lot of different sizes. You can get even smaller um, than octavos. There's people who make. I mean, you saw my little itty bitty books. Um, but if you think about all of these pieces of paper right here, they're all just think about them as just like they're all 8.5 by 11. But you can make different sizes of books based on how you fold your paper to then make um, um, leaves that insert into each other to make a signature, which is a gathering of folios um, or leaves together. And then each side is a page. Um, and so I'm making a smaller book today because it takes more time. But if you look at the things I laid out, this you'll always need 8.5 by 11. It's probably the easiest, or A4. It's probably the easiest to use. Um, because you can just get a hold of it anywhere, and then you all the measurements will be the same for most things that you do if you're keeping to a standard size. Um, but so what I did beforehand is I took my piece of paper and I cut down the middle, and then I folded, you know, multiples. Um, and so um, and then I made sure that I use the same amount every single time to nest to make um signatures. So signatures are just a collection of a certain amount of pages, and they all multiples of them will become your pages of your journal or your book. And so yeah, you can get really, really minute and make really teeny, teeny, tiny ones. But it's usually this is going to be it's going to be this size is going to yield you the most paper, like pages, for relatively little amount of work. You don't have to do a bunch of like micro measurements and cutting. Um, Stop screaming. Um, and so what I've got here is kind of a pre-prepared little. Ooh, did I mess one up? This is an issue. I was using scrap paper, and I think this one has one less signature than the other, or leaf than the others. One, two, three, four. This is five. Uh, But so let's say you've got your paper. Just gonna use this as an example. You got your paper, you've cut it in half, and then you have just a sheet of paper. You want to fold it like edge to edge, and try to think about like the way that you're folding your paper to make a rectangle again, or a square. But if you have a really thin rectangle, it's not going to be as useful of a book. And then you'll want to fold it once and then score it. I have a bone folder, but you can also just use a ruler or anything, a credit card, and really press down on that edge. And that will be what kind of keeps, you know, the crispness of your pages. And make sure that they all kind of line up together. So this is four. Now I'm mixed up on my own preparations. LOL. This is four. You'll have to count things up and stuff to make sure you know what you're doing. But once you're done, this is kind of the most like time intensive part. Yeah, I think that's so the rest of these are actually all. This one is four. Yeah, okay, they're all four. Maybe I was just silly when I prepared these a while ago. Okay, so these are all four. So get your stack once you folded everything, and you'll want to stack them up. Some people use binder clips or like a weight to hold them down, and I totally forgot to grab some. I'm just gonna grab a hair tie to hold my stack together because what I'm gonna do um is I'm just gonna measure it and then I'm gonna mark where I want to punch my holes so that everything is aligned evenly when I punch the holes to sew through to keep these um all lined up. And when I sew them together, they will um be functional. Let's also see if there's any questions, by the way. 'Cause I just want to make sure. Cool, cool, cool. Uh, yeah, this is a very small one. So this one that I'm going to be making is 9 centimeters. I like to measure centimeters. It just makes things a little bit easier for me, but this would be 3.5 inches. Um, I think centimeters allow you to get more precise, especially if you're making really small books. Um, so I'll grab a pencil. Oh, wonderful. Yay. Tiny books are fun books because they're easy to make and they look cute. Um, 9 centimeters. I think I'm gonna do this instead. Wrong way around. That's what I was like, what's going on here? So I'm gonna go like this. And I'm gonna mark, go back to visible. So I'm gonna make 3 holes in every single signature. I'm gonna mark, um, right down the middle. So this is 9. So I'm gonna mark 4.5 centimeters. I'm just gonna kind of run my pencil along um the edge of all of these signatures. Um, then I might actually just make sure it's actually kind of lined up. Because I realized it's kind of off center. Um, but I'm just gonna kind of make sure that I, have my very middle marked. And then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in 2 centimeters from each edge. So I'll go in at 7 on one side and 2 at the other. And also put some holes there. So that's where I'm gonna be punching my holes. But you can do multiple more holes than I did if you want more like complex designs and stuff like that. But it's not required. You can just do 3. For most small books you can do that. But if you're making it bigger, especially if it's the size of like a full piece of paper, like you'll probably want more. So you can't really see, but well, you can kind of see. Here's my punching guides. I'm gonna take these off. I'm gonna go one at a time and open it up. Open this by make sure I don't, you mess. Ooh, thing up. I'm a little dangly. Oops. People also trim their books at Costco. I'm just gonna try to make sure so I'm keeping my signature straight. I'm not taking all the individual sheets of leaves of paper out. Um, I'm gonna keep my signature together and lay it down flat. And I'm gonna get my awl. I had a nicer awl. Um, I don't know what I did with it. I got it recently and I was like so excited to use it. I was looking and looking, like I was literally, it's kind of why I was like unprepared. I was like, where's my awl? but I've got this one. It's actually a sculpting tool if you see at the bottom. But as long as you have something to poke a hole, you can also use a push pin. If you have thicker paper, you might not want to try that because it'll hurt you. But you can also use an X-Acto knife since it's on this package. And just stab the hole with the tip of it. Or if you really are like don't have anything that's really good, um, you can use scissors to cut a little line in where the holes are. You might, if you're going to do the scissors route, you might actually want to take them all apart and mark them individually, just so that you don't end up cutting too shallow of a scissor cut or too wide of a scissor cut because of how when you fold paper, the paper farthest away from the blades will get cut less. So it ends up not being very easy to use when you're you know, you'll be sewing things down. So just gonna punch a hole right down the middle. You can kind of can't see where my spine is, but I know where it is. And I have a self-healing mat recommended to use one of these if you're, and again, I'm doing this a lot, but if you just have some cardboard, make sure it's real thick, make sure your table isn't, super fancy, or something that you're worried about, um, hurting. But I think a table, or maybe even not a table, a piece of cardboard and maybe a towel will be enough usually to stop, um, if you're punching holes in things to stop it from breaching your table. Let me double check. It is a paintbrush pencil, by the way, Silverfish. This is actually where oh no, this is from Sam. But my work also I work at an art school and my work gives these out as these kinds of paintbrushes as gifts. This is from an art museum in Seattle, where I live. But yeah, one side is a paintbrush and one side's a pencil, which is it's a fun one because you can just be so creative. Um, and and also, this will be recorded. And so take your time if you don't want to make anything right now, because I think it's a really fun thing to take, pull up the recording, gather all your supplies. You can customize every little element. You don't have to use the same kinds of pieces of paper, by the way. You can use, um, honestly, basically anything as long as, oh, as long as you can cut everything to the same size. So I've made books that are multiple different kinds of paper. Um, and they're all different thicknesses and stuff. And I think it turned out actually really nice. I gave it as a gift to my mom's wife as like a Christmas gift last year. Um, and also for the cover, get pretty creative with them. Same for how you bind the book. So the way that I'm going to show you is just one kind of sewing. There's a multiple different kinds. And you don't even you can actually, this is the crazy thing, is you can even make a book without hand sewing. You can make a book by literally running the paper through a sewing machine. I actually have a notebook that looks like that's the way they did it. I don't know for sure because I bought it at like a store. I thrifted it, but I'll show you. Um, so there's a lot of ways you can just kind of get creative. And if you really are interested in bookmaking and want to learn more, I'll actually be doing another panel on paper making, but it's at a bookmaking online convention called Binderary. Um, sorry, I'm eating a bagel. I forgot that we had a whole bagel moment. I'm glad I have a bagel for breakfast. Um, so this notebook, it's just sewn down the middle. You can kind of see it looks like what they did is just really heavy industrial sewing machine or something. I just ran right down the middle. So there's not even, I might have folded it beforehand, but it's there's no separate signatures. And you also don't have to make a bunch of separate signatures if you have thin paper and um, you don't really care about your book lying flat. or it's a journal that you want to carry around and do whatever with. Um, and something that, it'll compromise the structural integrity, of course, because there's just more strain just in one spot. But you can just, do this process and just have one. Like you can stack a whole bunch of pages. You have to really get careful with the holes, but if your paper's thin, not too hard. Um, it won't be so bad. So I'm gonna be punching these holes. I'm gonna also try to speed myself up. I might actually, instead of doing all, however many of these, I might do just a few. Because I'm like, I don't want to end up, you know, dilly-dallying. I might just do three because I have two done already. It'll be a really thin journal, but that's okay. Um, or actually, I might. Well, we'll see. Well, punching it would take that long if I hurry up. Um, because the sewing part is the part that you probably some attention paid to because it's kind of it's not that hard, but you just don't want to mix it up and then have your book fall apart on you. Um, and I just saw so many nice artist tools. I am the kind of person that hoards art supplies. Um, I am one of those kind of like art jack of all trades. So I have bins and bins and bins, and I actually it's like kind of causing me problems. Too many art supplies. Also, we could make a bagel book. I think that would be definitely possible. Like, imagine if you just cut like a circle shape and have the flat side, and then cut a circle in the middle. Bagel book. Definitely. I don't sell my handmade books, by the way. I give them out as gifts mostly. I actually only started making books during COVID and really got into it last year, and then I took a break. But I was thinking I might try to do some book commissions or something. I've actually gotten, so this is gotten kind of into fan binding, which is people who bind fan fictions. But the community, I'm actually not a person who really cares to bind a fan fiction or bind a book that I really, really like specifically, but I just like that they're all book binding. Ooh, yeah. So that is a different kind of book binding method. That is called, ooh, I cannot remember the name. Um, um, but this is where you, instead of sewing the signatures, this I think is actually a glued. Actually, let me see if I have one. I have so many books, so I'm like, I always have examples to point things out. So then I can look at it closer. Um, let's see. And you'll like this. I have a book called Horse. Um, yeah, here we go. I haven't read it yet. I should read Horse. I don't know what it's about. Um, um, oh, it's about Civil War. I got it as a gift. But yeah, you'll see. Oh, this one's red, but you can kind of see there's this similar thing here, and um it's a piece of like woven kind of like almost kind of like ribbon. And so what happens is so this one's glued to it. The pages of the book are glued to this thing, but if traditionally people sewed them to this piece of woven, um I'm forgetting all the names now. I'm really bad with terminology. But I could probably list some kind of resource once this is over, that has all the right names for everything, so you can go and do your own research and not have me just, what's the, Googling random, what's the blankety blank. So that's sewn into this piece of fabric instead of sewn into the cover. And then the piece of fabric is attached to pieces of, they're like strips of thin paper that is laid along the cover. So you can actually kind of see this one's made slightly differently, but you can see that how I don't know if you can see it, but you can see this little line here where it's a little bit thicker than this side. That's where the cover page is attached. The spine paper. The spine papers are attached to the cover. So the cover is actually free floating. It's not actually attached to the book, which actually is good because if the cover ever breaks, you can cut this out and make a new one. It's actually why book conservation for older books isn't so bad, especially once they're sewn, because once they're glued, glue can just rip the paper. But if it's all sewn, you can just undo all of everything and resew them again. Um, but yeah, so that's attached. The cover is free floating, which means that has an easier time laying flat because it's not being actually the spine isn't being restricted by the harder cover. And then the cover can also withstand a bit more like damage and you know bonking because it doesn't have anything that's attached to. Um, so these kinds of books, you can also learn how to make them. There's a lot of YouTube tutorials. That's the best way. That's how I learned. I went to art school and I didn't take a bookmaking class, I'm always like, why did I not do that? I would have loved to learn from a real person. So I just taught myself during COVID, um, how to bind books because I was like, I have so much paper. I make insane amounts of paper. I need something to do with it. Um, um, But no, restoring books, this is one of the best parts about learning how to bookbind is you can just save family books. And there's lots of guides on also how to turn paperbacks into hardcovers. And that's something I think that will really feel nice when you have something sentimental or a book that really means a lot to you. I think a lot of people, for me at least, books are ways of holding that experience together. So journaling, um, scrapbooking, and then having your favorite book or a really meaningful book to you that you've preserved and are bound together. I think it's just a good way of keeping those memories, and that's kind of why I was like, this is how I want to run my panel because I'm not great at all the spiritual stuff. Like I'm not great at talking about it. I'm a learner right now in that realm. But I know for me, making art is the way I hold things. Oh, is Muffin bopping her head around? She comes up and will be like noodling around. Let me give you a Muffin moment real quick. Here, here, little Bingle. He's made an appearance. Boop, boop, boop. Here you go. Here's Muffin. Wahoo! Her name is Svetlana, actually. But I call her Muffin because she's like a cutie pie. She's cute like a muffin. She's my blueberry muffin. Nom, nom, nom. Breakfast cat. Okay, little puppy, there are sharp things, and I don't want you to get poked. Um, uh, let's see. Kitty moment. Oh yeah, this keyboard. It's funny. I thrifted this keyboard, but it's so nice. I don't know what brand it is. Okay, done with the last of the punching, and I've got 30 minutes. I think that's pretty good. I think we'll be just fine. This is the crazy thing, like making these kinds of books. This is called saddle stitches, the kind that I'm showing you. I'll be showing you the sewing kind. Take that long. So you can kind of just bust them out. I like, just hanging out and mindlessly kind of like once you know what you're doing, you can kind of just like the only measurements you really have to remember are just like how big the book is, how big you want your cover to be, and then where you're placing the holes. Um, so there's not that much like technical thinking that has to happen, at least for me. Um, so we have this is called my book block, and they're all punched. Ooh, this guy's got flipped. You just kind of want to hold them all together and make sure that things aren't off center because I messed one. Yeah, that's better. Well, yeah, there we go. This is my I thrifted it as in like I think oh no. Okay. I'm so goofy. Let me turn my light back on. Oh no. Okay, there we go. I just realized this is not the one I thrifted. I bought this one on eBay for like 20 bucks. The one I thrifted, I have at work. So I am sorry for misleading everybody. Um, but I buy everything. Cat proximity. No, cat proximity literally. Um, Case binding is a type of binding. Yes. I'm horrible at remembering what kinds. Case binding, by the way, um, is I think there's a couple different kinds. I'm getting mixed up, and I don't want to give you guys wrong information. I can like see it and recognize what each kind is, but I am horrible at um coming up with the like pinpointing the words. Like I know the differences, but I don't know what like my brain doesn't like to hold on to proper nouns. Um oh yeah, that's what it is. Headband is the little is the thing that is the thing that Dracmonka showed. That piece that you see at the top, that little like black and white piece, that's the headband. Words, words. You could totally do that, by the way, printing anything out you want. It's not so hard. I am also working using this free program called LaTeX. It's spelled like latex. Um, that allows you to format just regular text into PDF for printing. And so you can just download your favorite fan fiction, format it. It's minor coding skills required, but format it, and then um, you will um, be able to make your book. So let me see if this leather scrap is enough. It might be too small. Oops. Um, um, let's see. I don't think this is enough. I might have to have a different leather scrap. Oh, wait, wait, wait. Wait. Yeah, like this. No, it's not enough. I have other leather scraps. I went to a BDSM store that makes custom leather harnesses. And um they just sell their scrap leather there for really cheap. So I was like, I'm gonna get some. Um I thrift all my art supplies if I can. Not always, but I don't know. Let's see. The scrap, I had a couple scraps. If I don't have a leather scrap, I'll just show you guys the hardcover binding instead of a leather binding. Because what I'm doing is I'm rolling my paper, my little book block over so that I can see how much um I have for the cover, but I need extra than just this bare edge. So I don't think this one's gonna work. I'm like, it might. I'm a little thin. It's a little finicky. It might be a little tight. I mean, worst comes to worst, I cut things, then I don't use them. Um, this is where you could be really, good with measurements, which I probably should be. So this is it's 7.5 centimeters wide and 9 centimeters tall. So I want a little extra just so that I don't have it pages peeking out. Um, 9 to 7. Oh, and the spine. Also, you'll see the spine kind of poofs out even when you are folded them. So you want to kind of compress your spine just a little bit so you can measure properly. Always forget to measure the spine. So it's about a centimeter. So I want 7.5 plus a centimeter plus 7.5, which is 16. I can get 16 centimeters. So actually, let me go. I'm getting myself distracted. 9. This goes a little bit more than 9 right here. And then I go from here. Yeah, well, it's a tight squeeze, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna lay my leather down flat. on my um on my workspace. I'm gonna get my X-Acto blade out. Um, Memory is a weirdo thing. It's funny, I think I got worse at remembering things, like words for things, during COVID. I think it's because I didn't use my speaking skills, um, enough, and I ended up goofing and just and totally turned into a little, you know, a little awkward blabbering bean. Nine. Well, nine plus a little bit more. Nine. That's not even a whole. And one more remeasure. It's always like measure twice, cut once. I've definitely measured once, cut multiple times because I screwed up. So I'm like, okay, see. I tried to show good crafting manners or crafting hobby talents, hygiene. I don't know. Bad with words. Good crafty things because I'm on video and I shouldn't just have to spend all this time screwing up. Dang. Just it'll be a little tight. And what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna also end up sewing a little like wrap. I'm gonna cut like a strip. Maybe I'll do contrast strip. Well, I actually have a strip already. Let's see. White strip or blue strip. We will see. I'll wait till later. But I'll sew a little strip onto the cover so that I can tie it close. That's what I did with other ones recently. Um, uh, Leather's nice. So this is why I wanted to do leather for the demo because you don't have to worry about the edges. Everything with leather is just, I mean, leather's complicated in its own way. You have to punch really hard. But for making books, it's kind of the way to go in my. It's, it's just a little bit more easy to work. Um, and I'm using a metal ruler and cutting along the side of it. And that's what I recommend if you gonna be cutting a lot of things straight. If you get a plastic or um my favorite color is purple. Um I don't have purple leather. I would have just used that. Um we're getting there, guys. We're getting really close. Um I purple is like my whole life. This is my whole reason for being. So I can purple more. We're purple. I'll buy it. I'll buy it. If it's purple, I buy it. Even oh, silly thing. Even my paper making, handmade paper how-to book. Well, not how-to, history book is purple. I was so excited. I'm getting distracted. I have ADHD. Did you know? Fun fact. Um, okay. Let's get to sewing. Oh, punching. First punching. First punching, or I will ruin myself. Um, purple. There's a purple store in Seattle. I want to go to it. I still haven't been. I walked by it and it was closed. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm probably just gonna go on my birthday and then just get myself whatever I want. So I'm gonna take in the back because I can't make marks on this. Oh, actually, I have a fabric marker. It might be easier to poke to make marks on the inside because then I don't. I also have a purple fabric marker. Um, then I don't have to see it on the back if I fuck up. Oops, this is the reality. Um, let's see. Avoiding, because like everyone makes mistakes. All you have to just do is avoid showing them to the world. That's my mentality. I'm gonna measure this and then choose. Uh, um, This is, and also like, all my books are not like super professional. I make them for mostly for me or for gifts. So I'm not like super crazy about it, but there are people. You check out, I'll send, actually, I'll put a link to this Discord group. It's the bookbinding group that I talked about before. And you can see some of the really awesome stuff that they do there. The people who make books there are just out of this world, and some people are very professional. Some of them do them as like a career. So so I 17 divided by 2. I also am very bad at math. I'm assuming that that's 8.5. Um, 8.5. And then I want to expand out like a centimeter. So this is where the 8 and the 9 is where I'm going to mark where my spine's gonna go. Um, do that over on this side too. Um, usually I do this stuff with pencil, but because it's um fabric, leather, I was like, you know, I might. Um, and then so this is my little needle. Um, okay. So I've got, oh, I need to on my lines. I'm just gonna draw everything. I think it'll just be easier for people to learn too. Um, because I am the kind of person gets mixed up very easily, especially when I'm making books. Actually, it's funny. I helped out at a, so I went to a doll convention. One of my friends ran a book making like panel at the doll convention, but I was just so scatterbrained that day. I was completely useless. I was like, "Oh yeah, I can help you," and then I was like, um, totally useless. I was so unhelpful. I was like, "I'm so sorry." I'm not really being a good friend. You guys ever go to a doll convention in Portland, Oregon? You should go see me there. I love dolls, by the way. Second hobby that I love. I have a lot of hobbies. Dirk collects art supplies and hobbies. Um, and, um, I feel that aren't getting. Oh, oh, one of a kind art. Oh my God. We should Silverfish, you make really, really cool felted dolls, and I would love to pick your brain because that's something I've been wanting to get into for so long. And I actually started a project like last year now, or not even not last year, but like in May, or like a like articulated one of a kind like dragon doll. And I totally just got distracted and like lost steam because I was moving and stuff in my studio. Well, my studio, it's just my I have a 3 room house, so my studio is just a corner of my bedroom, um, which is my desk with my computer. But I had a bigger working space at my old place, but at this place I don't. Um, and sucks. Um, but I wanted to make more. I want to make more dolls. Uh, let's see. I did say it would squish to a centimeter, but I'm honestly thinking I might actually take some of these out. I'm looking at this now and I'm like, I don't know if I can punch. I already marked the holes. I was like, I don't know if I can punch. I'm gonna go half these on this guy. Um, I could punch. Sometimes you just have to kind of figure things out like that of like, can I punch these holes? Because leather, the holes are a little bit, they kind of have to be bigger than like you're sewing into fabric or cardboard. So I'm gonna just do 3. It'll make it easier for me and make it easier for everyone else to follow along. I'm just gonna center this guy. This is my little book. There's my holes. And I'm gonna mark a line where my holes end up, and then I'm gonna mark 3 spots to punch in my leather. Um, so that I know to punch the holes evenly spaced. Because this thing squishes and squashes, and if you just sew right through with the leather, it'll be really annoying when your holes don't end up in the right spot. Because it'll look a little wonky. But it's not the end of the world. There's always the thing about books is like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you can just redo it because most of the things you can just take apart and remake it. So if it really doesn't look good, you know, recycle. That's what I say. So I've marked some lines where I'm gonna poke my holes, and then I'm gonna feel like I'm actually not. I need a pen. 'Cause I can't see the detail. See how this. Um, and I'm gonna mark. Yeah, I'm just gonna mark 3 holes. I don't think I need this for that. Nice. This doesn't show up. See how we're doing on time, so I don't end up running too long. Actually, I might. So I'm gonna mark my on the back because I think I'm gonna punch on the back. Maybe I don't know. I'm just rambling. Here we go. Okay. No, actually, I will punch on the front because I just marked all these lines. I mean, on the inside. I'm just gonna pull. Yeah, do like I'm gonna go in a little bit. This will be the way. I'm so good at this, you guys. I'm totally an expert and totally not, you know, just a little animal noodling around trying to figure out how to make things work. So I'm gonna poke one. Ooh, wee. Oh, you see? I already goofed up. Yeah, whatever, it's fine. No, no, it's not whatever. I'm at a point where I can make it a little bit better. Um, I just mispoked my hole, so I poked them a little bit, shifted them. Because instead of measuring, I just free-eyed where I put my book. And then I realized something. My book is off center. But yeah, this is why you measure everything out and do things the right way instead of goofing around like I am. I'm the kind of person that numbers are like, they should be my friend, but I don't make them my friend. Instead, I make them my nemesis. My girlfriend loves them. Like math. She's a math. I'm not. I'm an artist who has to begrudgingly deal with numbers. Um, okay, so I poke my holes. Hard for you guys to see this stuff, but here you can see what I've done. So I drew lines. I shifted everything over, so that's why it's all off center. But this is where I poked my, sorry, I didn't poke my holes, but I marked where I'm going to poke my holes in the leather. And I'll show you guys a cover making too. Might be a little quick, speedy, because I am running out of time. But this book will be done by the end of the demo, so that's pretty good. If you have leather, you can make a book in an hour, or less, probably. But yeah, so this is where I'm going to poke all my holes, and then I'm going to sew through my book, through the holes I poked in the paper into the leather cover, and then that's it. You've got a book. So let me get my thread. I have thicker thread. This stuff's actually called waxed cotton thread. But if you just have if you have any kind of like embroidery thread, you'll probably be fine. Oh wait, poking holes first. Distraction, Dirk. I also forgot to take. Well, I took my meds, but I didn't take that. Poke my holes. Poke my holes. I gotta poke them good. This leather too. But then I'll sew. Then I'm good. Um, I'll show you guys how to make a page. You know what I think I'll do because I know I don't. I think I've got yeah. I'm assuming I have an hour for this panel. I mean, just how it seems. So, and I know that The mouth panel is coming up, but I don't know. I think it's actually an hour from now, but I don't really want to run over my time if I can help it. I want to be an on time person. But I'm poking my holes right now. So I'll show a different kind of cover making. That's if you don't have leather, I'll show that to you guys too. Is what I mean. I'm rambling. Um, but I might do it in photos in this panel discussion, or I'll post a link to my pictures of how I do it so that I don't have to take up more time making a cover that I won't be able to, it'll just take too long. The paper covers or covers with card like board, you have to glue them, and it just takes a little bit more time and finickiness. But I poked my holes. I can see them on the back, and this is what I'm gonna do today. Unrolling my thread. I've wrapped our needle very tightly. But so this kind of thread is wax cotton. One thing about bookbinding is that some people, I don't know if anyone hand sews. When you hand sew, sometimes you'll double up the thread and have like two lines of thread, then you tie a knot. With bookbinding, you just want to tie one end, um, mostly because you want to reduce the amount of thick everything is. So I'll have a knot here. Or actually, wait, I don't even need a knot. You don't even need a knot because you'll tie everything together at the end. Oops. Um, but you'll just have it basically free floating. And so just needle through thread through the needle, how it goes. Um, let's see. I can untangle this thing. Things are not being my friend today. But this is just like this is a embroidery needle, I think. And then the wax cotton, you can use embroidery floss, um, or just thicker like upholstery thread. This wax cotton, if you don't have that, but you want see it's kind of twisted together. The wax keeps it from sliding, from unraveling while you're sewing everything. Um, you just get a block of beeswax or a candle, maybe old candle, and run the thread through that beeswax, to stick all the kind of rolled bits of thread together so that they don't unravel on you. I think people do this kind of stuff also for other things too. So I've got my three signatures, and I'm gonna place one and two, well, one and three, the two side ones, my middle one. Take my very center one, put this guy over. I'm gonna sew it down first. So the middle one, or where you want to keep your knot, is gonna go down first. Your knot's gonna end up back in the center. Once you've done all the sewing, it'll end up right back in the center, the last bit of thread. So you can tie a knot in the center of your book. So I'm here, got my needle. Hard to see, but I have a hole in the middle of my paper. I'm gonna go through the hole, um, from the inside of my signature. Um, um, yeah, if it's bound with leather strips, we'd want to cut bigger holes. You can also probably even, if you wanted to make your own, like a hole punch, you wouldn't even need an awl, which is actually kind of cool. People have also, I've seen people buying things with, um, what's it called? Ribbon as well. Um, um, yeah, I have tended to move a little bit away from now you make my own craft projects, I avoid vegan leather as much as I can. That's why I get scraps and thrifted stuff. You can take a leather jacket and rip it apart and make it make it into books if you really want. I actually have a book that's made out of a leather jacket. Um, so um, I pulled my thread all the way through. I've got this little tail, and I'm just gonna hold that tail down while I'm sewing so it doesn't pop out. Um, just to remember. So this is the center, and I'm going through the center of my cover now. Um, and let's see. This is kind of the moment of truth if you know when if you punched all your holes right, that everything looks good even. If not, kind of finagle things, make it look right. Okay. Um, let's see. I think that looks pretty good. This guy's actually a little long because I was I took a few of them out, few of my signatures out, so it's a little bit extra. But honestly, I can just trim that off if I want, or I can roll it over and make like a different cover. Um, there's a little bit of schmutz right here. Yeah, whatever. You can paint leather. Makes for really, really nice covers, I think, because it kind of has the texture of like skin or like scales. Um, so you want to go through the middle, and then you want to go to the right or to the left. But if it's three, you can kind of just choose whichever way you want to go. And you'll want to go, or actually, you know what? Since we're doing, you can do a decorative way of doing it. I was going to do just lines. I'll do lines. I'll do lines. I'm making this easy. I'm not making things hard because I'm doing a demo instead of being a noodly derg that likes to make um things fancy. Uh, Mutts. Orbiter, I'm more of a Jewish family, is why. Ashkenazi family. They're Hungarian, but you know what? I probably would. I speak Dutch too, so that's might also be the reason why I have a little bit of everything. But I was gonna say, I was just thinking it wouldn't be so hard for me to learn Yiddish. Um, oh, it's taken it's being a little stubborn getting through this whole. Here we go. Yiddish. I sadly don't know Hebrew. One of those things that I was got an offer to when I was a kid. My family were like, "Do you want to have a bat mitzvah?" I was like, I was very into atheism at the time when I was like 13. It's like, no, I don't want to do it. Which I was 13. Asking a 13-year-old what you want their religion to be, kind of a hard choice. So I still do Jewish things, um, with my family, and I'm kind of trying to figure out my own kind of religion or not. But but yeah, one stitch down, more to go. Flying spaghetti monster. Um, so we're sewing one down. Let's get almost done with this guy. Oh, I have 2 minutes left. I will go over time. Oopsies. Um,
The next panel's not for another hour, so feel free to take your time, friend.
okay. I just was like, oh, I don't want to dilly-dally too hard. But I think then I will run over a little bit. I hope everyone's okay with that.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
and feel free, we're basically at the end. If you guys do need to bounce, don't worry. Um, hopefully it won't take me much longer. But so I've gone, I started this direction. So I went in and then so I went down through the middle and then I went that way. I went to the left or to the right for me, but to the left for you guys. And then I went up through the top hole over to the bottom hole or the side hole and then out the back. And then um what I do is I'm gonna go right through the middle back hole. So that's a saddle stitch, is what I just showed you guys. The 3-hole saddle stitch. So when you go through the middle, be careful not to split the threads. Um, because your needle might just, unravel everything. But ooh, leather. Um, um, that be, oops, don't want to poke myself. Say if you just had one signature, you'd be done. This is just it. Now, once if I tied a knot right here, well, I can if I wanted to, that would be a book. It holds itself together. The cover is here. I'm gonna sew on a little strap of fabric to wrap around, or leather to wrap around to hold it closed. But yeah, you would just tie a little bow knot, or not bow knot, but square knot, and kind of just keep this little guy from dangling around. But actually, I can even just cut it, and I'll show you guys because I can do it. There's a couple different ways to tie off the threads at the end. You just want to tighten everything as best as you can, because you don't want it dangling around. But once that's done, this is saddle stitch. And you can do this. So like if you had just had like stiff paper or hard, like a stiffer hard cardstock that you like the cover outside of, and you didn't want to cover it, you could just do the same method. Um, like where's that book that I was using as my example? That was sewn. But yeah, any kind of like leather, fabric, anything thick enough, you don't have to wrap it with cardboard. So that would just make a cover. So this is a functional book. You can open the pages and turn them and use them for writing and do whatever you want with them. Um, so that's the way. Um, and yeah, you trim these guys. This is the most, easy to learn entry level um bookmaking method. Um, and then I'm just gonna sew down these guys. I'm just gonna do them straight lines. This one is, so I was looking at this one as an example. This is a book I got for Christmas, but this one they've done kind of fancy stitching so that they only have to do one knot. And I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna mess with that because I don't want you guys to or actually I guess they do two knots. But I just didn't want to you know confuse everybody. But you can just mess around. That's the fun thing. If you mess up the stitching, you can just be like, okay, I'm gonna cut my thread and restitch it. No glue required, so it doesn't really matter. Um, but yeah, if you get like really hard leather, you don't even it'll just like kind of keep itself together. This one's really soft and squishy, but I think it's kind of nice when they wrap around. So that's what I'm doing. Um, so let's see. Dragony. Yeah, this is I got very, very excited for getting this one for Christmas. I have another dragon notebook that I haven't touched because it's so pretty that I got last year for Christmas. And I was like, I need this to be really special, but I haven't figured out what I want to put in it. But this one I've written it already. I started writing, I think just journaling. Um but yeah. So same method through the middle. And there's other kinds of bookbinding. You can do one that's called Coptic stitch. There's Japanese stab binding. Um, there's what other kinds are there? There's chain stitch. They're all different kinds of ways of sewing the paper to your cover or whatever kind of material you're going to use to hold things together. Because, you know, like the one I showed you guys, cover isn't actually, the pages aren't actually sewn to the cover in that one. Um, but so then you can end up with really interesting designs and you can have books that function in really interesting ways. So Japanese stab binding, you don't, I don't know if I have an example, but I can pull it up on Google and show you guys a picture. But like that Japanese stab binding, you don't actually need. I was thinking about showing you guys that one actually. You don't need there's no spine. The pages just you punch holes along the side of the page of paper. So instead of folding it, you just have like sheets of paper. You punch holes along here instead, or and then a block that's a cover, like block as in like a just a sheet of cardboard, or I think people used to use wood, have holes in that, and you stab through and sew it together so that when you have it then a set. I'll show you guys, but yeah, it looks cool. You flip it open, and you create like a hinge so that the paper is held together, but it doesn't actually wrap around. Um, and then you can just like turn the pages like you would normal. But yeah, that's stab binding. Um, there's a lot of other kinds. Coptic is similar, looks a little similar to stab binding, and you create like chains um on the back. So you end up it ends up looking really cool, like chains along the spine. Um, what else is there that's fun to see? There's a lot. I have actually wait, I got a book on book covers actually. I should pull that out and show you guys. Um, but there's so many ways to customize these things. So like end papers are where you put something in the front and end of the book to as like a little decorative piece. So this is my end paper on this guy. And I used handmade paper for this. I made this out of nails. Um, this is all handmade paper actually too. This is but so you can get really decorative with end papers. I can teach you guys if you like sometime. Maybe we can do another thing on it's really easy. Japanese style paper marbling looks really cool for end papers. Um, yeah. So you can um yeah, you can do that. It's called you basically get a leather stamp. Um, there's also ways that you'll see like fabric books that have this kind of embossed design. So but what happens, leather, you can stamp leather when you use I think it's like heat and water. I forget. You have to like soak the leather and then stamp it with a stamp or press it into a stamp, basically like a mold so it gets the shape of the cover that you want. And press it down really hard. I think there's probably tutorials on how to do that online because um I've seen that done by like hobbyists. So it's not something that you need like industrial materials for. I don't know exactly how people do it. I'm assuming it might be like you make a carving or something. I don't know. But it's definitely possible. Um, and then yeah, you could color it. And then but this one's uh debossed, so that's popping up, and embossed is popping down. Um, and then yeah, you can cover it. There's a guy, oh my God, I'll tell you guys some crazy stories then because I'm just sewing right now. I went to so it was last year for my birthday. Me and my mom and my girlfriend went to Victoria, BC. It was really fun because we took a ferry there. And we were walking around after dinner one of the days and we saw the bookbinding shop and I was like, I need to go in. Um, um, and got really excited. I was like, I need to go into this bookbinding shop. Um, and so I went in, and the guy there was wild. He was he was such an interesting dude. Um, I talked to him for a while. Oh, did I put this on backwards? Look at me, I put it on backwards. Let me see. Actually, no, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. Let's see. But the guy there, um, was he owned the shop himself. His shop's called Period Fine Bindings if you want to look him up because his stuff that he makes is crazy. He just like I was like asking him, I was like, so like I really want to get into bookbinding. I really want to get into art conservation. And I would love like do you what's your process? What was your career like? Yeah, I did this wrong. It's upside down. And he was telling me about his life and the books he made, and he just kept on telling me more and more like wild stuff. I was like, he makes occult books. So he makes like I guess he's really into like kind of like Satanism or occult magic, chaos magic. I don't know the full names for all of these things. That's not exactly my realm. Um, but he binds books that are like crazy. Like he had a crazy book of angels that he showed me. Um, yeah, like this guy was like that. He was definitely one of those people. He's like, yeah, I've been doing it for since the 80s. I've been doing this forever and ever, and I love it so much. And he makes everything himself. He tans the leather himself. He makes the paper by hand, and he has stamps the books to make designs on them, and then stamps right directly. This is the thing that he was like really proud of. He was like, he stamps the books, the leather, and then he gets gold leaf and stamps directly on top of where he stamped again. So if you mess it up and you're off, then your book's messed up. So every single time you stamp with with the gold, you add a chance of messing up. And he had these crazy intricate designs that he was using all these different tooling stamps to like um make these crazy intricate gold designs on the covers of these books. And he was like, I have a crazy wait list. There's like he said that he had some kind of like I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell if he was like fully telling the truth, but he was like there's like a billionaire client that wants an occult book. And I was like, oh my God, dude, you're so what'd you say? Oh, the Pope? Oh, I thought it was the Queen of England. He also said he worked with the Pope and the Queen of England. Yeah, he had to turn the Queen of England away, he said, because he was his to-do list was too long. He was a wild dude. Um And I have no idea, like we couldn't really tell because like half of what he said was like legit. Like he actually showed us the books that he made and like the work that he did was actually like really cool. And then he would just say these crazy names. Like I think he said he like Bob Dylan came to him. And yeah, he turned the Queen down. He was like, I don't want to do it. He said that he got contacted by like scholars at like book concert conservators at Yale that said um he said he didn't want to yes that's the guy um and he said yeah like he said that like the Yale scholars he told them they were dumb because he had developed a special book conservation method um they were all doing it wrong and he knew how it was right. He just was such a good guy. I you know how just talking to people um bye, Drac. Thank you so much. I'm glad you got to see everything. Um, and you're so awesome. I gotta make you a book or something. I feel like that would be really fun. Next time I see you, I can give it to you in person. I feel like that would be a great time. Um, but yeah, she did die. I think it was like half a year later, or less than that, she died. Um, and or at least from I don't know when he told us this story right before she died, but I don't know when he actually had contact with her. Um, what am I doing? Oh, I'm over here. Um, and so that this guy was wild. And his books are crazy good though. So it's kind of like, well, you are backing it up. Um, yeah, me and Drac got to meet up IRL, and it was wonderful. And we need to meet each other up again. It was one of the best times ever. Um, we could have talked for hours. Uh, but yeah, this guy was wild. If you're ever in Victoria, BC, see if he's open. Ask him about his books. He'll tell you the best stories ever. He told me that he like founded a cult. He like he researched all this occult stuff, and he had found a special like um some kind of special manuscript that was by Aleister Crowley or something like that, and that he decided to bind it into a book and then bury it somewhere in London so no one else could find it because I guess he was saying that people are very competitive about the the occult world, and I was like, he was Australian, so it was really funny hearing him talk in BC because I was like, you're not British, and I don't know what like you're in Canada, but you're from the Commonwealth. I don't remember where. I couldn't tell where, and then I was like, oh, he's Australian. Um, yeah, funky guy, very interesting guy. Um, well, I would love to become a sibling. We get along very well. Um, but Yeah, that's the thing. It's like this is why I'm always like, just give it a go. Go and talk to someone and just see what they have to say. Sometimes they will just say totally random, crazy things and maybe something you really don't want to hear. But sometimes you get a gem. And that was a definitely that guy was definitely a gem. Um, I'm at two. Now I need three. Last one. And then my book will be done. And then I can also earn a little something or other to hold it together, and then we'll be in business. Book business. But yeah, bookmakers are just as crazy as anyone else. Um, he said like, yeah, you should definitely look at the books he made on that link that Silverfish posted because they're really good. So I was like, wow, you know. I had to like my family had to like tear us away. Like I was like wanting to talk to him longer, and I asked to be his apprentice, and he said no. Because he said he had one before, and he just wasn't good enough or something. No one is good enough. Um, let's see. Where's my hole? There. Yeah, I think from when I was testing things out. My girlfriend's in the room with me. I don't know if you guys can hear her. Um, but I'm rambling to her as well now too. Um, yeah. Um, I definitely, um, Keystone. I don't know if you mean Victoria Island. Um, I mean, I've been meaning to go back. I definitely want to visit again. It was a really fun trip. Um, and I rather enjoy that I live so close to Canada. I can just take a little John over. Um, we're talking about crazy people in Canada. You know how it is with those Canadians. Um, there's a guy I met who makes books, who binds books, who's wild. He was a wild, wild guy. I met him on a trip to Canada. Um, honestly, I feel like I could have been Canadian. Um, I like Canada. I lived in Toronto as a baby child. My mom makes movies, and we lived there for 6 months. When I was really young, and supposedly this is her story. I don't remember this because I was too young. She said that the house we were renting when we were about to leave, um, Billy Ray Cyrus and Miley Cyrus showed up because they wanted to look at the house because it was being rented out by the same company. Oh, Heart of Frost. I've seen some wood books. There's some that have gems embedded into them that are made out of books. Um, not made out of wood, made out of books. Um, they're more like medieval style because back then I think books were really rare and hard to make, so making them out of wood made them really sturdy. Um, but yeah, you can make covers out of everything. I'll show you guys real quick because you know, it's okay if I go over time, I guess, because I'm almost done with this. Oh, see, I messed up. I offset some. This is the thing, my holes weren't exactly even, and so I'm off by one. I did this before. Let's pull it out. This is why you don't tie a knot, because then you can just go like that and flip it around. Um, oh, I need to flip it. But yeah, I'll show you guys this book cover book. It's a book art book cover. It doesn't show you how, it kind of shows you how to make books, but like all the way through. But it's mostly just about how to make weird covers. And there's a metal one. There's a CD cover. Well, funny enough, Akirisha. My brain still wants to say the L. Um, most books nowadays are made out of paper, made of wood, but back in the day, handmade paper was made out of cotton or linen rags. Mostly linen rags. There was a whole job called the rag collector. It was like a like you could sustain yourself as a rag collector, just going around and picking up all the rags, and then they'd sell the rags to bookbindery because they would they'd actually like ferment the rags to break them down. This is before they had like big machines. They'd ferment the rags to break them down and turn them into paper pulp. And there's also vellum, which is like really well treated um like animal skins. Um and you can make paper out of almost anything. I made paper out of um rope. I took sea salt rope, which is it's like it's similar to I think sea salt is the same as jute rope. And I processed it and turned it into paper pulp. You can also do I've done cattails, I've done cotton, I've done linen, and flax. Um yeah. Oh, you have a Mabel group. See, okay, so then you might be interested. This book, I love this book so much. This goes into the whole process of paper making. And mostly I think they go over like all over the world, but they have a lot of documentation from Europe, medieval Europe. But they also go into Korea and Japan, of course, because origins of paper was not actually in the United States. It was, no, it was in the West. It was in China. They made paper way before anyone else, and they were uh, people would buy paper from like through the Silk Road for a long time until they figured out how to make it. Themselves. These are all this stuff. Oh wait, you guys can't see it. All this stuff is watermarks. So you can make really detailed watermarks on your paper pulp. But this goes into even like yeah, historical stuff. It's kind of wordy. It doesn't have that many pi pictures. Oh, here, but you can see is this Japanese? Chinese bookbinding. Um no, not bookbinding, sorry, paper making the paper making book. Paper making studio, but this one's from 1607, if you can see in this picture. So super cool. This book, yeah, is called The History and Technique of Papermaking, the History and Technique of an Ancient Craft by Dard Hunter. Awesome book. Super cool. I actually haven't fully read through it because it's so long, but you know, one of my goals is to get through it. Um, um, I will, yeah, I'll take a photo of I'll drop the name. It's funny, I was at a bookshop and I saw this book on the table and I was like, I need this book. And I picked it up and I was going to go check out and she was like, "Oh, are you buying this for the prisoners?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, this is you pick this book's from the table of books that we send to prisoners." It was like, "Oh." And she was like, "Yeah, we have people buy them and then they get mailed to the prisoners, so you don't actually get the book." And I was like, "Oh, but I want the book." Um, I think the name's Dard Hunter, not David Hunter. Um, Akir. But I wanted the book, and then I was like, well, what if I just pay you guys for my book and then extra so you guys can buy a new one and send it to the prisoners? Because I felt so bad. I was like, because if you're in jail, at least in the United States, like you don't have any money, so you don't get to buy anything. So if you want stuff, you have to either like I think they get like some credits and stuff, but they don't. It's not like you can get any book you want. And if someone wanted to read a book on paper making, I'm not gonna stop them. Um, yeah, paper making started in late medieval period, more like 1400s, more like actually than early medieval. Um, let's see, this guy's coming through. Sometimes you kind of with leather, it's like I need pliers sometimes to get things through the holes. I never punch the holes big enough. Huh, there we go. Yeah, careful with the needles, by the way, everybody. Um, don't stab yourself making paper. You'll get blood on your paper. Um, but yeah, once I'm done, I'm almost done with this. Once I'm done, I'll um I'll pop open that book on covers and I can show you guys some crazy books because the covers are really kind of what like makes the craft of bookbinding like really exciting. Um, because the paper, I mean, I like making paper, But I find making handmade paper really exciting when you can make them their own piece of art. But when they're bound up into a book, it's a little harder to do that. Um, I could talk about paper making forever and ever and ever and ever. So, bear with me. Um, but with books, covers are just so many crazy ones. There's a lot of really exciting stuff you can do. And yeah, metal, crazy shapes. There's a really, really good binding of Lord of the Rings that is in this book that I'll show you guys. That I think they like sculpted. So it's a hardcover, and then they sculpted. Ooh, come on, last hole. Oh, you know why? It's because I poked it through and I didn't poke it through my actual hole. Oopsies. Um, but so yeah, people just do some really awesome stuff with bookmaking. Oh, it went through my little doofus. Mm, Give me one moment, you guys. This is what happens when you pull too hard and it pops out the, the center hole. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually thread this that came out onto a needle and then pull it through and then thread it back again, back to the right side so I don't have to re-sew everything. Um, yeah, I do love that they have straps. It's kind of just like even more metal. Um, the ways that people made books over time is really fun because nowadays, we don't really have to make them so sturdy, but there are some really wild books that are just like, basically armored, especially the ones that are covered in like metal and gems. Like they'd hammer precious metals into them and then like emboss gems into the covers. Um, Crazy stuff. Um, Medieval bookmakers were on another level because they were like, we're only making one. We don't have a printing press yet. Oh, yeah, dragon book for sure. I would in another life, I would have loved to be a medieval monk because I would just get to sit and make books all day. They also a lot of monks made paper too. You gotta just sit around and draw on the margins. Um, and you get to, well, you'd have probably be writing the Bible, which is not my most exciting event, but the Bible's got a lot of fun stories. You learn how to read. It'd be kind of like the the way. A lot of monks also some of them had really like hard lives, but I know a lot of them also had kind of nice ones, like kind of easy life. Like they got to, they got lots of food. Um, and they had their own gardens and would grow stuff and all that kind of jazz. Um, so I wouldn't mind future if I ever got, well, I guess reincarnated into the past. I wouldn't mind being a medieval. Um, shoop. Okay. How we doing? We're almost done, guys. Don't screw me now. I'm almost done. You know what? I'm just gonna get my wires. Yeah. I know that. So this is the thing is I know it depends on where you lived in Europe. I know some monks have way harder lives than others. Um, uh, Basically, if you lived in any kind of like convent or monastery, it was like, you know, you were usually someone who they were deemed not worthy of marriage. But usually your family was kind of wealthy because they didn't need to have someone working. Like they didn't keep you around, even if you're unmarried, they'd keep you around to do, more work the farm, work the business, whatever. If you're, they could, they could basically, you're basically considered a donation to the church at that point. Um, because doing all the prairie stuff. Um, um, but yeah, I wrote a paper in college on it's a art history paper about a couple different things, but it was about like how they like hiding women away was like viewed in um Europe around the time of the oh sorry, we finished our book. Let me not ramble. I'm gonna like this is our journal. We can make a journal now. We have all the skills. If you wanted to, if you were gonna make a hardcover, you would have put cardboard in here so it's not floppy. But I don't mind that. I have just like a strip to bind it closed, and I would just like, you know, sew a bit down. Or you could even harder, like this one has hard leather, like really tough leather, so that's also the option too. But it's done. It's done. I was about to go ramble about nuns. But uh this is our book. We can do whatever we want with it now. You can if it's like a floppy book like this, it's kind of nice because you can kind of roll. If I had been smart about it, I would have offset it so that I could have flopped like a larger edge around it so that it would have kept closed so that the pages wouldn't get messed up. But yeah, you can just, get a piece of something something and tie it closed with a ribbon or a piece of leather. This is what I'll probably do. Is I'll just punch some holes, sew this through, and close it up with some leather. I might see if I can punch and add some extra um bits and bobs. But yeah, this size is small enough you can put it in your pocket and just like have it as a little pocket journal. Um, and this paper is like watercolor paper, I think, or no, it might not be. But yeah, you can do this with watercolor paper, so you could have like a really nice quality sketchbook and you could watercolor stuff with you. I could do really fancy for doing grocery lists. I have what this. I have it's not a calligraphy pen, but it is what's it called? What are those things called again? It's one of those fancy kinds of pens. They're called something pens. I don't remember. I actually have one in purple ink. Where's the purple? Um, Fountain pen. Yeah. I'm gonna write on the cover. I'm gonna write a little intro. Um, Draconic Summit fountain pen. Oh my God, Draconic Summit. Bind your, bind your truth. That's what I'm gonna say. No, Draconic Summit fountain. I'm a goofball, you guys. A major goof. Um, I can't not be a goof. Ooh, did I say Draconic Summit? What am I gonna write down? I'm gonna write down Draconic Summit 2023. Um, Find your drink. That's all I'm just gonna write. That's gonna be my little intro to the book. And I don't know what I'm gonna do in it. I might write notes of the summit. Um, or maybe even make a little itty bitty scrapbook and like print out pictures and stickers and things. Um, well, let's see. I need to test this out before I pick up. Come on, pen. Yeah, baby. Okay, there we go. Synchronic to find. My cursive isn't so great anymore. I learned it in school. What's a cursive Y? Hey, I've forgotten now. Um, and let's see if you guys can see. Well, it's flipped on my, but it does say Draconic Summit, find your truth. I did it. I did my panel. Um, and now I can show you guys this book I have. Um, on books, a book, if I can find it. I hoard everything, and my hoard is not very organized. Who dare ask a dragon to organize their hoard? That's what having a princess is for. Let's see. If I can find it, I'll get it. But if it takes me too long, I won't get it. I won't get my book on books. I don't know what I did with it. I teach a lot of art classes, so I end up sometimes taking things in and letting students borrow them and not getting them back. Um, which I hope isn't what happened because I got this one recently, so I don't think I would have given it away. Um, let me go see real quick. 1 second. Shame. Can't find my book on book binding or book covers. But I will put some photos of books that I think look really cool, and I'll see if I can even find that Lord of the Rings um binding that I thought was super cool. Um, and if I do find the book eventually, I'll just put a link to the name of it so you guys can take a look or take some pictures. But thank you guys for sticking it out with me. And I will what I'll do is I didn't show how to do hardcover, like traditional hardcover, like well not traditional, but they're all kind of different. But like this kind of hardcover, like this style. I didn't show you guys that. This one takes a little bit longer. But I will put some photos and make a little guide so that you guys can try it out because this is not so hard. It's mostly just um covering cardboard with fabric or leather or paper and then sewing and like doing the same thing we just did and sewing it into um something and then putting an extra piece of cover on the back. Or just sewing it straight into the cover and having the spine be not hard and the rest be hard. It's not so hard to do. Um, so yes, and I can go eat my bagel now. I have my bagel sitting next to me. So delicious. I ate a little bit of it. Um, but thank you guys. Um, I had lots of fun, and I love teaching art. It's one of my other passions in life. And so I'm really happy that you guys got to come on this little ride with me because I'm not an expert, but I like to teach, and that's what I think is fun. Because then you get to expose people to new things and how awesome they can be. Um, I did find this, but this is not a book that this is about paper making. If I start going on about paper making, you'll never hear the end of it. Um, so thank you, thank you. Um, and yeah, have a good night. Well, not night. Have a good afternoon. Bye, everybody. I'll probably be bouncing around in the server. Feel free to DM me if you have any questions. I love talking about bookmaking and paper making. I can always give advice, and I can also find advice for you because I know where to look. So I'll post the binding group that I'm into, as well. So yes, bye.